Welcome into the Solo Shot Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Dom Manna. Happy Solo Shot Saturday, everyone. Episode 123, as easy as ABC. 123. Man, I don't want baseball's regular season to be over. It's been such a fun season. And kind of out of the blue, we had a retirement as Cubs legend Anthony Rizzo announced that he will be retiring as a Cub after turning 36 last month and not receiving a major league contract from any team. This is a real sad story. Anthony Rizzo, 40.4 career WAR, 1,644 hits, 303 home runs, 261 career hitter. He scored 922 runs in his career, drove in 965 RBIs, career slash line 261, 361, 467, 123 OPS plus. He was a 3-time All-Star, a 4-time Gold Glove winner, and most notably, a key cog in the 2016 World Series championship, putting that historic baseball of the Cubs breaking their World Series drought in his back pocket. Just that mentality, that mindset that even in the biggest moment of his career, he was such a smart player, such a thoughtful guy to put that in his back pocket to make sure it didn't get lost. Anthony Rizzo has struggled the last couple years in New York for two reasons, I believe. First is the injuries. He obviously, the concussion is most notable, but he had multiple injuries during his 4 seasons in New York, playing a grand total of like 400 games in a Yankee uniform, which I always hate to see for players that I like. But Rizzo had the concussion, wasn't handled well, didn't look right, but also because he's a left-handed hitter with power, 303 career home runs is nothing to sniff at. That matters to me. He was, I think, being told by the coaching staff that, hey, we want you to lift the ball a little bit more. We want you to pull the ball a little bit more. I think his approach at the plate changed, which when my Red Sox are facing the Yankees, I didn't mind because it made Anthony Rizzo an easier out. But this is a guy who was, as a first baseman, getting 150 plus hits a season, hitting for a good average in the 280s, 270s regularly. Like, he was a good hitter. He'd hit the ball the other way, ground balls, fly balls, and like all the great power hitters say, the home runs will come. Not trying to get under the ball, hitting the top of the ball, the home runs will still come. The multiple 500 home run hitters have said that. So I think the difference in approach, the missed time, really hurt Anthony Rizzo's end of his career. I thought he was someone that had a chance to make a case for Cooperstown. He's kind of the forgotten man in this era of first baseman, with Joey Votto, with the last generation of Pujols, Votto, Cabrera phasing out, and the generation of Goldschmidt and Freeman being in his window. They all came up around the same time. He kind of was a forgotten third man, but I think his career was on the path to maybe not be quite as valuable as them, but still Hall of Fame worthy. And now he ends his career 356 hits shy of 2,000. I think without the rule of 2,000 as a first baseman, it's going to be really tough for him to even get the 5% to stick around on the ballot. Like I said, 303 home runs is still impressive to me. 4 Gold Gloves. He was a great defensive first baseman and a great baseball player and teammate. Had a lot of great mic'd up moments, a lot of great interview moments. A consummate professional who, although he didn't have a big impact on the field for the Yankees, does seem to have helped Aaron Judge take on his new role as a captain, as a veteran leader for this Yankees squad going forward. Anthony Rizzo has left his impression on that for sure. Thank you, Anthony Rizzo. Fantastic baseball career. I wish it would have ended better. Jeff Passan was saying that not everybody gets to go out on their own terms. Not everybody gets to sail off into the sunset, have a retirement tour that is reserved for the 1% of the 1% of Hall of Famers and greats of the game. Anthony Rizzo, a great player that I still appreciate that I got the opportunity to watch and will always be a fan. And speaking of talented first basemen, I feel like I haven't talked enough about Nick Kurtz on this show. And it's mainly because of where the Athletics have been in the standings. They haven't been in playoff contention for like 3 months. And Nick Kurtz has just been unbelievable. He hit his 30th home run of his rookie season earlier this week. And the reason that is incredibly impressive is because Nick Kurtz became the 6th first baseman aged 22 or younger to have a 30 home run season, joining Jimmy Fox, who did it twice before he was 22, in 29 and 30 back-to-back, Hal Trosky in 1934, Jason Thompson in 1977, Cody Bellinger in 2017, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in 2021. So very rare air there for someone so young to be so good. But it's not just about the home runs with Nick Kurtz. He has raw power. We know I talked about with the 4 home run game. And, you know, the 6-hit night, 4 home runs, one of the greatest games I've ever seen played. 4.9 WAR in just 103 games. So if he played a full season, you're talking about a 6, 7, maybe even an 8 win first baseman. That's a real MVP candidate right there. 30 home runs, as I said. He's a .299 batter right now. 110 hits in 103 games, 77 runs scored, 74 RBIs. The strikeout number, 129. For how much he's been able to deliver, I'm fine with that. His on-base percentage, 393. He's getting on base at almost a 400 clip. He's batting at almost a 300 clip. He's slugging 620 for a 1013 OPS, 175 OPS plus. He has been unbelievable. And so much so that he has just slowly climbed the Rookie of the Year ranks. At the beginning of the year, it was, is it going to be Christian Campbell, my pick, or is it going to be Jacob Wilson, who's hitting the ball like crazy and still has a chance to win the batting title here in September? His teammate could win the batting title, was an all-star starter, and Nick Kurtz would, I think, sweep him for Rookie of the Year votes in the American League. Then Roman Anthony came on, and he came on later than Nick Kurtz, but he was so valuable to a team that was in playoff contention in the Red Sox that Roman Anthony was getting a lot of buzz for American League Rookie of the Year. But Nick Kurtz has outlasted them all. He has stayed healthy, and as a first baseman, been extremely valuable with the bat and doesn't hurt you with the glove. I mean, to have 4.9 WAR at a position like first base where you don't accumulate a lot of defensive WAR, but you can accumulate negative very easily. It's been unbelievable to watch this kid. The A's have a real core of bats with Nick Kurtz, with Lawrence Butler, with Jacob Wilson, with Shea Langoliers, who has a 30 home run season as a catcher, with Tyler Soderstrom. The list goes on and on. Leo DeVries, who they got in the Mason Miller trade, is going to be a big part of this young core going forward. Brent Rooker is that veteran presence, a good bat to have, a good leader in the clubhouse. They just need to develop starting pitching. And they have a few guys right now that look like they can be mid-rotation guys, but they really need that true number one, that true ace to make them a real playoff contender. And I'm very, very excited to see how this A's team does. I do think part of the reason why Nick Kurtz hasn't gotten the credit from me and a lot of other places is because, like I said, the A's aren't competing, but they're also playing in a minor league ballpark. And we've seen with Junior Caminero, who's had a breakout 40 home run season at his age, doing that mainly at home. Nick Kurtz home road splits a little bit more favorable. He's done it both ways, including his 4 home run game was on the road at Houston. So just a really unbelievable talent, a guy who's getting comparisons to Albert Pujols' rookie season, to Cody Bellinger's rookie season, to like really, really great all-time first base rookie seasons. Nick Kurtz, he's so good. And I hope that you guys tune into him these last couple weeks that we get, because we're not going to get anything from him until next year. But I think he's going to be a very, very popular MVP pick in 2026. I figured we'd stay on the home run chase numbers as we're getting down here to the nitty-gritty end of the season. And I truly am interested to see, because things have slowed down a little bit. We're still on pace to have 4 50 home run hitters. We have an outside chance of there being 5. Cal Raleigh sitting at 53 home runs. 1 more to tie Mickey Mantle for most switch hitting home runs in a season. 2 more to pass him. I don't think Cal Raleigh really has a shot here at the AL home run record of 62. I don't know if he'll even get 60. 7 in this last handful of games we have is a lot to ask. But Cal Raleigh, I think, will have the most home runs in a season by a switch hitter, by a catcher, and has a chance to have the most by a Mariner. He would have to hit 4 more and get 57 to break Ken Griffey Jr.'s record of 56. So that's really the number that I'm looking for with Cal Raleigh now. I know a week ago today we were talking about 60, but a week has went by and we only have a couple weeks left. Still, nonetheless, a historic season from Cal Raleigh, and if the Mariners make the playoffs, I think is your American League MVP. Kyle Schwarber hit his 50th home run. Became the 34th player in Major League Baseball history to have a 50 home run season in a contract year. Unbelievable. We talked about him with his 4 home run game. Shohei Ohtani is 2 away from back-to-back 50 home run seasons. Absolutely unbelievable. And gets kind of swept under the rug how great he's been with also pitching this year. Last year, he went 50-50 while rehabbing as a pitcher. And now he's actually being successful as a starting pitcher while hitting 50 bombs and stealing 20 bases still. Aaron Judge just passed Joe D last night for 4th most home runs in Yankees history. He is going to try his darndest to be the all-time Yankee home run hitter, though I think that's a little bit out of the realm. But 3 home runs away from another 50 home run season, which would, I think, really make the MVP race interesting. Despite Aaron Judge missing time, despite him slumping after coming back from the injury, 50 home runs with the WAR advantage and the batting average advantage and everything, he might win the batting titles between Judge and Wilson right now. In terms of batting average, Bo Bichette has an outside chance of catching them, but I don't think he's going to do it. The real interesting thing is Eugenio Suarez, who has 45 right now, hasn't been amazing as a Mariner since he was traded, but 5 home runs over the next couple weeks with his power is in the range of outcomes, and that would make him the 35th player ever with a 50 home run season. That would make him a even more sought after free agent, I believe. And the biggest thing about Suarez is getting that 5th guy to 50 home runs. We haven't had 4 guys since 2001. 5 guys hitting 50 bombs. Hasn't happened since 98. Like, that would be historic. It's, like I said, it's been a crazy season, and Suarez has a chance to really put an exclamation on it for the long ball. Here at the Solo Shot Sports Podcast, we like to throw back down the third base line to this day in baseball history. And September 13th actually had a litany of things that were deserving of talking about. On this date, In 1965 and 1971, respectively, Willie Mays and Frank Robinson joined the 500 home run club. On this date in 1936, a 17-year-old, we just talked about 22-year-old Nick Kurtz, 17-year-old Bob Feller struck out 17 batters in a Major League Baseball game. Unbelievable how good he was at such a young age. Flamethrower Bob Feller. But new ground was laid on this day in 1845 as Alexander Cartwright proposed the first 20 organized baseball rules for the New York Knickerbockers, which are often referred to as the Knickerbocker rules. They had 20 rules, and they were adopted and eventually evolved into the organized baseball we have today. So we're, 108 years of organized baseball with rules in place. Before, it was a leisure activity. It was something to compete in. It was something to have fun with. But the first rule here, members must strictly observe the time agreed upon for exercise and be punctual in their attendance. As in, we're taking this seriously, show up on time for the game, for practice, for whatever. Second, when assembled for exercise, the president, or in his absence, the vice president, shall appoint an umpire who shall keep the game in a book provided for that purpose and note all violations of the bylaws and rules during the exercise. So having a objective umpire to keep track of this. Third, the presiding officer shall designate 2 members as captains who shall retire and make the match to be played. Observing the same time that the players opposite of each other should be nearly equal as possible. The choice of sides to be then tossed for and first in the hand decided in like manner. Essentially, the captains being the coaches. The bases shall be from home to second base 42 paces, from first to third base 42 paces, equidistant. So the bases could kind of get just dropped wherever beforehand. This was a perfect diamond, a perfect square. No stump match shall be played on a regular day exercise. This is the 5th rule. The 6th rule, if there should not be sufficient number of members of the club present at the agreed upon time to commence exercise, gentlemen, not members, may be chosen to make up the match, which shall not be broken up or take in members that may afterwards appear, but in all cases, members shall have the preference when present at the making of the match, which is essentially what the replacements was like guys off the street. 7th, if members appear after the game is commenced, they may not be chosen in if mutually agreed upon. Basically, if you are late, you're not eligible to be in the game unless both teams agree. The 8th, the game to consist of 21 outs or aces, but at the conclusion, an equal number of hands must be played. So each team getting 21 outs was how it started before it moved up to 27. 9th, the ball must be pitched, not thrown for the bat. 10th, a ball knocked out of the field or outside of the range of the first baseline is foul. They used to just play ball sometimes, depending on no matter where it lands. 13th, a player running the bases shall be out if the ball is in the hands of the adversary on the base, or the runner is touched with it before he makes it to the base. It being understood, however, that in no instance is a ball to be thrown at him. Very, very important in 1845 to make that distinction. 14th, a player running who shall not prevent an adversary from catching or getting in the ball before making the base is a hand out. So no interference. You can't get in the way of the throw. 15th, 3 hands out, all out. So that was 3 strikes. That was 3 outs, change sides. 16th, players must take their strike in regular turn, so they cannot bat out of order. Extremely important. This is a big moment. Let's have our best hitter, who's not supposed to hit for 6 more tries, move up and take this at bat. 17th, all disputes and difference relative to the game are to be decided by the umpire from which there is no appeal. Umpire gets final say. He is an objective ruler. 18th, no ace or base can be made on a foul strike. So you cannot take a base on a foul ball. 19th, a runner cannot be put out in making one base when a balk is made on the pitcher. So if there's a balk, the runner advances, cannot be tagged out, thrown out. And 20th, but one base allowed when a ball bounds out of the field when struck. So these 20 rules were established in 1845, 180 years ago, by Alexander Cartwright, who is one of the founding members of baseball and one of the first men elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame that did not play the game. These 20 rules, some of them as silly as they sound in both the wording and the realization, that is what has slowly developed into America's pastime, into the game that you and I love and follow with a passion. And rules and updates and changes happen every single year. And there's going to be more advancements. There's going to be more changes. But at the core of it, the game is the same. It is played on a diamond. There are outs. There are changing sides. There's an order to this chaos. It's not just a ragtag pickup game. And I just think it's so interesting reading those Knickerbocker rules, which I'd heard about, but never read through all 20 of them, like I just did for all of you here. And I hope that you go and check them out, research the early history of baseball and how guys like Alexander Cartwright were just helping figure things out so the game could advance and survive and have clear-cut rules and seriousness taken about it, as opposed to it just being a game, it being a true professional sport. Now here at the end, we're talking a little struggle bus, as there's been some teams in the standings that have been really hard pressed to keep their spot. As I talked about with the wild card, the Mariners right now are tied with the Astros for the division because the Astros are 4-6 in their last 10 games. They have not been hitting well. They've been pitching all right, but not great. And the Mariners have caught up to them. So one of those two teams is going to win, and the other one is set up to be the third wild card, unless Texas, who is 7-3 in their last 10, or Cleveland, who is 8-2 in their last 10, can catch them 2 games and 3.5 games back, respectively. Teams that have kind of fallen off and out of it, the Kansas City Royals are 6 games out at 500. The Tampa Bay Rays are 3 games below 500, 4-6 in the last 10. They might actually fall to last place in the AL East, as the Baltimore Orioles have been making a late season push. On the National League side of things, the New York Mets are 2-8 in their last 10 games. They've lost 7 in a row. They haven't been able to pitch. Their offense is, outside of Juan Soto, has been down. It's really rough right now. The San Francisco Giants are a half game back from the Mets in the wild card. The Cincinnati Reds are 1.5 games back in the wild card. And both of them are and the Giants are playing really good baseball. They're 7-3 in their last 10. Could we see the Mets, who I did not predict to go to the postseason? I felt like a fool for not believing in my Mets again this year. I just didn't believe in the starting rotation. Could they actually fall out? I hope they don't. They have some of the best hitters in the National League in Lindor, Soto, Alonso, and Vientos, who's been amazing since the All-Star break. Those 4 guys, like that scares any pitcher. But they've been relying a lot on 3 young guys, one of which, Jonah Tong, got completely lit up last night, could not control the strike zone, outmatched by Jacob deGrom. And it's a struggle bus for Mets fans right now. My prayers are out with y'all. I know it's stressful trying to hold on to that spot, and it is really, really scary here as a Red Sox fan where the Red Sox just lost one to the Yankees last night, and they only have a 1-game lead on Houston and Seattle that, like I said, could get caught by a Texas or a Cleveland. And there's a non-outside chance that the loser of this Red Sox-Yankees series also ends up missing the playoffs if those two teams get hot enough, or the Mariners or the Astros that don't win the division stay good enough and the Yankees and Red Sox lose out. So there's a lot of storylines still to follow in these last couple weeks of the Major League Baseball season. While awards might be mostly wrapped up, there's a lot of playoff seeding, fringe playoff teams at the end of the wild card, and things that I'm very, very excited to share with you here every Solo Shot Saturday. Appreciate you for spending part of it with me. If you liked the show, make sure that you like the video and subscribe on YouTube. Leave me a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify if you're an audio-only listener. And share the show with a friend who loves the game of baseball as much as we do. I'll be here the next couple weeks. And after every single postseason series concludes, giving you my overview and takes. I'm Dom Manna, and I'll see you guys next week.